welcome to the Forward Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Shepard. Here's my wife again tonight.
Hello.
I want to thank you for tuning in once again. It's been a busy week for us. I think everybody could say that. For some reason, it has been the craziest week. We get into the end of September, hitting October, and it's just wild for everybody.
I can't believe September's over and it's already
Right?
October's almost gone too. It's just
It
I'm not
does.
keeping up.
So here's the question this evening, and for you even, when do we start playing Christmas music?
Already
Because
done.
I feel like,
Already done.
are you in your car?
Well, only on days where I'm really sad.
Oh, yeah.
You get in
it
the car and
is.
it's like it was a hard day at work, or you're just running from work to the next thing, and it's like you just need a little Bing Crosby, you need a
It
little Mariah
works.
Carey.
It works. I
You
don't
get
know
the
about
classic.
Mariah.
Well, the
She drives me nuts after a while.
one or two.
Yeah, one or two is fine. What is her song she sings every Christmas?
I am kind of tired of that one. All I Want for Christmas Is
oh
You.
my
That's the
word,
that was the big
Kara.
one of the 90s. Yeah,
It's crazy.
that's kind of
how
overdone.
Very much overdone.
But it's such a part of our childhood. Like that was
oh my word.
certain
Yeah,
Christmas
if you're a millennial,
albums.
for sure, that was
Yeah,
huge.
that was all the rage.
For me, it is. You said his name, but Bing Crosby.
Yeah,
It's
Frank
true.
Sinatra.
I will never forget. I don't even know if my parents remember this. I was young. I mean, a kid, and saved up my money because we saw at not Dollar General. Was it called Family Dollar?
hmm
I feel like
There's a Family Dollar.
so. It was Family Dollar down. This is down in the South in North Carolina. I saved my money because going through the line, I saw a cassette tape of Bing Crosby. And
Aw.
I was like, he had a Santa Claus hat on. And I saved my money. And I remember riding my bike, Tressa and I, down to that Family Dollar and buying that cassette tape.
How cute.
And I had that tape for years.
I
and
can't believe you
years.
were allowed to listen to Bing
That's-
Crosby.
Yeah.
We would
I
never
feel-
have been able to listen to Bing.
Yes, you would have.
No.
The Shepherds were stricter than y'all were. I
No,
feel
but
like.
not.
Yeah, I'm
you
telling
were,
you. I mean,
but not. I don't. Certain things, because y'all got to watch a lot more Disney movies than we did. Like
Yeah, that's true.
You got to
We-
watch way more.
But y'all, this is how crazy.
So you were just very
dive this
liberal
for a
in your
minute. Seriously,
entertainment.
Well, Meli Kaliki Maka, it's a slippery slope when you start listening to that. I mean, it's all
You
downhill.
just went right over the edge.
It's a slippery slope from there. There are some movies that we watch. I'm trying to think of, what was the dogs all together? They went on a,
All dogs go to heaven.
no.
101 Dalmatians.
Keep going. It was a Disney movie. It had the golden retriever, the cat,
Homeward Bound.
Homeward Bound.
Why do I know so many dog
And-
movies?
It is weird because you're not even a dog person, but mom recorded that on the VCR, and there were things that she bleeped out on that. And years later, we went back and watched it, and we laughed. So we're like, "Mom," I mean, it was like little slang words.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't even like cuss words. It was like
Yeah, slang.
slang words, calling a name or something, and
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, always. We did too. We had so many movies that we watched.
And then there
Did you
was,
get that?
I don't know how we got on Christmas movies, but I got to tell you this real quick. This is a true story. I remember when Home Alone, the first one came out, I was a young kid and
love
we
Home
had
Alone.
friends over. I remember her name was Connie Rarick, or not Connie Rarick. I can't remember her name now. One of Mom's friends. She had red hair. Anyways, she came over, and then we had this other family over, the McCullums, and we watched this. I remember being a kid, and you know how bratty that kid is on Home Alone,
Oh, yes.
especially the first part of that movie. Now that I'm a parent, I totally understand. But I remember Mom being like, "He'd never get away with that in our family. I'd wear him out," like all this stuff. And I'm sitting there as this like 8-year-old, like so embarrassed in front of my kids, like, "Mom, stop."
In front of your friends.
In front of my friends.
Oh,
yeah.
man. Yeah. Our parents hated bratty kids in movies too.
Yeah.
They were-
it was-
That kid needs a spanking. And we're like, we know we're not doing it. It was
It's
almost
not
like
us.
they would get
Oh,
mad.
yeah. They were mad at
I'm
us.
like, I
too.
didn't make the movie. I didn't tell them to do that. Just be quiet and let us watch it. I mean, I would never say that because then I would have been getting the spanking.
Oh
But
my word.
now
It's
I
so
get it
true.
because there's shows that the kids turn on
Oh,
and I'm like,
absolutely.
it's not so much I get offended that a kid's being a brat. I just don't need anyone else being a brat in this house. Like we have enough going
Right. We put
on.
up with enough. Why?
Why do we need to watch other kids be brats? Like let's just cut it off at our own family.
It's so funny how every parent goes through this where you're like, wow, that's why my parents did that. Wow,
Yeah.
that's why they said that or didn't allow us.
So
Like,
true.
you don't get it as a kid, then boy,
Yeah.
let me tell you, you have kids, you understand real quick.
Yeah, it's so true. Well,
Well,
speaking of,
yeah, that's exactly right. So last week we're talking about excellence without perfection, and we kind of went into the pressure that everyone is under to be perfect, and
yeah,
things done with excellence, and just push, push, push. And so we really want to kind of once again dive into the distinction between both of them. You can't just
yes.
say, "Oh, great preach right there. We don't want any of that." No, there has to be everything done with decency and order,
Hmm.
but then also there has to be a line drawn that we don't cross it. And so, secondly, we want to talk about kind of this evening is the pursuit of true excellence. So,
Yeah,
what does excellence look like? So, Carrie, dive into this, kind of lay it
yeah.
out for us now. That we understand we're under the pressure, so we don't. God doesn't put us under that pressure. So now, where do we go from here?
I really like how we spoke last week and we brought in that excellence and perfectionism are not the same thing. And I think that's
True.
something I even learned from our study on this topic.
Hmm.
And I really kind of had those two linked together. And I love how I learned that. And it really actually did help me this week that
Yeah.
I can be excellent without having that pressure of perfectionism.
Right.
And that's a really good thing to learn. So
So good.
this week we wrote down that our theme is excellence isn't about doing everything flawlessly. It's
Yes.
not about never making mistakes. It's about doing everything faithfully.
Good.
And what I love about that is attainable,
Mhm.
right? Because there are some of us out there that we might not be as naturally talented in different things as other people. There are things that might
Sure.
not come as easily to me as they do to others. And so that's when that burden of perfectionism and that pressure comes in. Well, if I can't do it like they do, then I'm not going to do it at all.
Mm.
What excellence says is I can do this to the best of my ability and I can do it faithfully.
And give me an example of that in your world, in a mom's
I'll,
world.
I'll give you a super real
No,
example of it
okay,
right
go.
now. This morning, we had nursery, a few ladies and I, and we were in the infant nursery. And it was just a day in infant nursery. And it was the perfect storm because you have a guest speaker that went over. And that's fine, presenting in ministry and missions month. And so he went a little longer than you typically would have. And we had several babies in there, more than we normally do. And everyone was in a cranky mood. So we're in the nursery and everyone's crying, and then we have someone walk in with her children and she needs space and,
Right.
accommodation and these things. And I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, I got 3 hours of sleep last night. It's going to be a longer Sunday. We're
Mhm.
energy. And this is a simplistic example, but it's a very real example of, hey, I volunteered to do nursery. This is my service to the Lord. Moms are getting to hear the gospel. Moms are getting to have a break and to sit there and soak in God's word. And so there was no way it was getting done perfectly because we had more babies than we did
Right.
workers and everyone's crying. But I do feel like myself and the ladies with me performed our task with excellence
It's good.
because the
I
diapers
love
were
that.
changed, the babies were fed, they were loved and rocked and cared for, and we were all just giggling. We just kept passing them around and we're doing these things. But you know what? We did it with excellence because it was with our hearts. And we even after the last baby was gone, we said, whew.
Whew, yeah. Oh, it's
And
good.
one of the ladies said, I think we all sweated through our dresses today. And we were, it was funny. We were laughing at it. But I truly feel like, okay, it might not have been perfect, but I know God was pleased because
Mm.
we were all there and we were truly there with our hearts. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is it. This is what
Yeah.
ministry is about. And
I
we
love
loved it. And
that.
we had such a good time together.
True excellence comes from love and not fear. And so
That's perfect.
it's realizing that excellence honors God
Yeah.
and perfectionism, it really replaces him. because God is delighting in our effort.
Mm.
He doesn't take delight in our error count.
Yeah.
He is not watching for us to make this mistake, and he loves when we're not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
He's not even trying to get us to attain that.
Mm-hmm.
For all of us, in no matter what life stage you're in, I think it is truly realizing that we want to be as faithful as we can
Mm-hmm.
with the gifts and the talents and the treasures that God has given us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all different.
Yeah.
There's that incredible parable in the Word of God where He really does give talents, 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 and some is one, it might be five, and it could be 10, but they're all different. And He expects us to use what He's given us to the best of our ability
Mm-hmm.
and to be faithful.
Mm.
And I really believe in the culture in which we live, there is a ton of pressure
Mm.
that is placed on, let's just talk about it for a moment, but from social media
Mm-hmm.
to try to keep up with everyone and our marriages to be, and we're on this incredible Disney vacation, and even the pressures of ministry care can be astronomical. Of you go to a conference, and we have found a conference that fits us right now. And what I probably love about it the most is you do not feel like a complete loser when you walk away.
Yeah.
It's not, you haven't lived up and you got to do more. And but here's how we do it, and we're the perfect way. It's kind of like, hey, we're all in this thing together, and here's some great ideas for you to do it to best of your ability. And I love that in ministry. I want to push people, just use the people and the talents and the buildings that God has given you. Would I
Yeah.
want more? Sure, but it's not being a perfectionist. It's just striving to be faithful
Yeah.
with what God's given us.
And we do demonize social media pretty consistently on this podcast. And I do, in our own home, just trying to keep it at bay. However, the funny thing is, I grew up without social media,
Yeah.
and you did too. And it does not take an outside source to bring in the burden and the pressure of perfectionism in your home. It can take one parent that you're not living up to their standard.
Right.
And they put the pressure on in the home. Or even, it could even be a child, a grandparent. It could be someone at church, a teacher. You don't even have to have a phone or social media, because I remember in our circles growing up, I feel like it was very much put out there that your family, and I'm not speaking about my family, but just families in general, you were supposed to put on the show. Like, you were supposed to look and act perfect. And if you weren't, everybody was kind of, behind their hands or, raising their eyebrows at your family. And I know a lot of mothers and parents in the home felt the pressure way before social media ever
good,
became
Kara.
the
You're
whipping
right.
post for this.
Right.
That burden was already there.
Right.
And we have to remember that as parents and as leaders in our churches, in our homes, in our communities, that we have to model. Listen, we can do things with excellence, but we are able to facilitate whatever your talent level is. And I love a young woman in our ministry today. I said, thank you so much for your, ministry here at the church. You really, you've really been a blessing. And she said these exact words. She said, I love here that there's no pressure to do everything and to be everything. She said, I'm allowed to serve whatever, wherever my talents lie and however often I'm willing. And she said, I find so much joy in serving now because there's just no pressure. Yeah. And I thought that's the highest compliment you can give. And she really should have said it to you and Stephen and Pastor Jose, because she's under, the three of you in service much more than she ever is me. But I wanted to pass that along to all of you because it is really a high compliment. Because even before we had other things to blame, that pressure's always been there.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
For sure. Let me add to that from just a ministry perspective. I do think we could do better at not putting the pressure on. I think the pressure in not just our ministries in general have always placed that how many of you knocked doors this week? Raise your hand. How many?
Mm.
Yeah, how much are you going to put in the offering? How much are you
Yeah.
going to pledge? How
Yeah.
uh, three to thrive, and all, like whoever this individual was, that pressure is there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when somebody doesn't meet our expectation of perfection,
Mm-hmm.
then it really does become a very judgmental spirit.
Mm.
And I really believe this, that it makes us feel good about ourselves. We get to talk about somebody. Remember back in when dress standards are really big, it was, I think for some, not all, I'm not saying all, but I think for some, it wasn't even, hey, we ought to dress this way because it's modest or it's godly or fill in the blank. It almost became this, we're up here and you're not.
Yeah.
We're
We're,
we're we're up here and we get to talk about you because you're not. They
yeah.
wore fill in the blank or they
And that
didn't
was like
wear, and
the 100% metric by which entire families were measured was, how inappropriate one of their daughters dressed. Like
right,
if you came in and your skirt was too short, it was like that family is just going downhill.
right,
And it's
right.
like not their heart or their passion or are they in their Bibles or did they bring a friend to church? It was just like that was the sum
It was
of the entire
right.
measure.
And
And
there were a
it's
lot of
sad.
those. It was a lot
Yeah.
of, like you're saying, even before social media. I guess I've never thought about it, but you're right, bringing out that point that a lot of times we can put the pressure on. We talked about last week. Some of us put the pressure on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We are greatest critics
Yeah.
in not living up to this unattainable lifestyle of being perfect. But then, if we're not careful, we do put it on. We'll put
Mm-hmm.
it from a ministry leader standpoint. Here we've been in ministry now for 20 years. Like we've learned a lot, and I really do not try to put that pressure on. I know this is crazy as some, but I don't know if our staff tithes or if they do not.
Mm.
Like that ought to be between them and the Lord.
That's exactly right. I
And I
agree.
don't force people to go to a Saturday morning, knock doors at some point you have to let people just have a relationship with God, and it's
Yeah.
authentic then.
Yeah.
It's we want to do this.
Yeah.
Why aren't you in choir? Why aren't you in nursery? Why aren't you? Well, why don't we let them make those decisions
Yeah.
and not put the pressure on to where I'm doing it because if I don't, then I'm not a perfect Christian.
And what I love about that methodology is that you might not have as many volunteers, but the ones that you have are doing it for
It's
the
what you
right
need.
reasons.
Yeah.
And that's what brings forth excellence.
Right.
We put it right here in our notes. It's working, true excellence comes from love,
Yeah.
not fear. When people are forced and they're into doing things and they're pressured and they're afraid of what other people are going to think of them and that's why they do it, then they're working out of a place of fear and they're not going to be their best.
Yeah.
When you're doing it because you love it and you want to be there and you have a passion to serve God. Who wants to be in a nursery full of crying babies? I'll tell you, the three of us that were in there today.
Right.
And that's why we were okay, because that's where our heart is. We want to help. We enjoy serving together. When you're working from a place of love, the quality of your work is just so different.
Yeah, it's good.
That's where excellence lies.
So, and it's not only in our churches, it really is in our homes as well.
Yes.
We've spoken on this. It was a long time ago now, but I have been guilty of that in the past of putting it on our kids,
Mm-hmm.
pushing them to a place of not excellence, not just trying their best or being faithful, perfection. Like
Yeah.
a B wasn't good enough. You have to get an A, and realizing that child might not be able to get an A.
Yeah.
They just might not be good at chemistry, or
Yeah.
they might. We're in a Becca program, which is like memorize, 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 and maybe one of our kids, they're not great at memory.
Yeah.
Just that, be able to spout off 1,000 spelling words a week or whatever they do.
Right.
And I had to learn a hard way. You helped me a lot, Kara, through that, of not pushing this kid to where this is actually ungodly what I'm trying to pull out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, God's given them this much intellect and they ought to strive to do their best for
Yeah.
sure. but their best might be a C in math.
Yeah.
Their best might be a B plus in reading.
I mean, and honestly, like most people's best in math is a C.
Okay.
Let's be real. If you give 90% of adults the spelling words and the math problems these poor little eighth graders
Oh,
have,
no.
adults couldn't even do them.
And it's getting worse with autocorrect on phones. I was taking physical notes a couple weeks ago at a conference, and I spelled something. I'm looking at like, boy, that's
a
not
tough
right.
one. That's a toughie.
That's just not how you spell that. But man, I could not think.
Oh.
So funny how we live in this world where our kids do too. Everything's typed out on phones and it corrects it for you. But anyways,
I remember in math when they were like, you're not always going to have a calculator. I literally have a calculator 24/7 in my pocket.
I still don't get that.
Wasted all that time.
My kids said, this is about a year ago, that one of their teachers said, you're not always going to have a calculator. And another kid in class, not one of ours, said, yes, you will.
It's so true.
It's like, oh, that's actually
that didn't
very
last long.
true. Yeah. Now you ask your watch, or we
Oh,
wear
man.
Meta glasses and just ask
So
Meta.
true.
Oh, anyways, you have to be very careful. I feel like with our kids, but then also in our marriages as well. Striving not to push someone to something that just is not attainable.
Yeah.
And it is in every form, from your love language to affection, to your married life.
Yeah.
All of those things, if you're not careful, in our minds, we live in a Hallmark world.
Mm-hmm.
So when we don't get to live that perfect marriage and that person doesn't meet our expectation, we really make life not only miserable for the spouse,
Yeah.
but you make my life miserable on yourself.
Yeah.
It's just this, oh, why can't you? Why can't we? And I saw this, and I think that's another really red flag to be careful of, is not just ministry with your kids, but also in your marriage, of not pushing your spouse to live up to this perfect life, because it is not going to happen.
I just had a conversation with a woman a few days ago, and she was saying, her husband's not handy, and it's frustrating because things around the house, aren't fixed and perfect.
Was
and
this
things.
you?
And it was a conversation with myself in the mirror.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
No, it was not with me, but I did chime in and say my piece too.
Yes,
I'm just
I'm
kidding.
sure you did.
No,
I'm
and
not the best. I try. I
I'm
try
just
the
kidding.
best I can.
And I asked her, I said, what's his best quality? And she said, he is incredibly stable. He's just
That's awesome.
a stable, he's never in a bad mood. He's very flexible if I want to, change my mind or go here or go there. And she said, he's just a stable, steady guy. And I love that about him. And I was like, well, there you go. I mean, we're all a mixed bag. And highlight that about him. Highlight his excellence
that.
and stability. I said, because there's some women out there that don't have the stability of a steady Eddie husband. They might have somebody who's always got a bigger plan, or always, changing careers quite frequently and these things. And that might be her complaint, but then maybe he can fix the car, or something like that. So it was just a good reminder of, it was a really good and encouraging and very godly conversation about, hey, in our marriages, our husbands aren't perfect, but also, like, what would they be saying about us? There's things that they put up with from our side that are not perfect, but we want and hope they focus on the things in which we are excellent.
Yeah.
And so that's true. It really does translate to marriage, where if you expect your partner to be perfect and, oh, they're good at this and they're good at this, and it's like, well, don't look in the mirror, because you're going to be the one that's not, and it's very good to say, you know what? He might not be proficient in this area, but we can hire that out. Hire that handyman.
Which we have done many a time.
Who cares? I mean,
but
then how many times have we hired a cleaner because I don't have the time?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, sorry, that's kind of my job to help with the house and make sure that it all gets done, and it's not getting done this week.
No,
so
there's been many a times we've had.
it's okay. I don't care.
So
It gets done.
to kind of sum this up, excellence says this: let's give our best to God.
Yeah.
Perfectionism says if it's not flawless, it's a failure. And we have to realize that one really glorifies God and the other glorifies self.
Yes.
And if there's anything, as we take our shepherd life and pour into you as a listener, take away this: live your life for the Lord.
Yeah.
Know that you are enough. You're wonderfully and perfectly made by a God that loves you. And so strive this week just to live a faithful life.
Yeah.
A faithful life that's concentrated on others and serving and keeping our focus on the Lord for sure. Anything you want to
Very
add
good.
to that?
No, I'm excited about next week, and we have one more part to this series.
I think we might go in a different direction, but
Okay.
yeah.
We're not going to finish this one out. We might have covered it all. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
Great. Thanks for tuning in.
Have a great week.